Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you all have had a fantastic Thursday as we're ending the work week and getting through it almost to the weekend. And, we're going to continue to try to figure out what the tropics are going to do. What we got going on right now, still Tropical Depression Fred. And then we have an area of interest that could potentially be a tropical depression as early as maybe sometime tonight, maybe sometime tomorrow, and could potentially down the road be Tropical Storm Grace. So we're going to break down each storm system, break down what it could potentially do, what are the elements in place for strengthening or disorganization. What are these two systems going to do? We're going to try to figure that out. We're going to break that down with the latest information from today. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button. Upload content daily, and your support is definitely appreciated. I actually had a couple people donate some money to my equipment and storm chasing and things like that. So the people who have done that, thank you. That's much appreciated. I have my PayPal link down there in the bio under the video. So anybody who does that, it's much appreciated. All money goes to my equipment and storm chasing and trying to get the best content out there for you guys. So thank y'all for supporting what I do here and my passion here. So also I want to mention before we get going is my Twitter link is on my YouTube page in the bio right here actually. Follow me on Twitter, guys. I'm very active on Twitter, so obviously I can't make a video every hour and keep y'all updated. So that's a great way. I try to post on there at least every other hour and keep y'all updated. So hit me up on Twitter for sure. My link's right there on my page. But here we go. We actually have an intense convection explosion, if you will. Fred has been dead all day. It's just been nothing. In fact, if you look at it on satellite, you would think, okay, it looks like just some pop-up storms or something. It doesn't look anything impressive. In fact, if you wouldn't have told me that used to be a tropical storm here, I wouldn't have known it. But now, actually during a kind of more of an unfavorable time period, which we call diurnal minimum, or in short, DMIN or DMIN, it's basically a more unfavorable time for basically storms to convectively kind of get going or strengthen. But we're actually having a convective blob here popping up. So this may be a sign that Fred is trying to come back alive. Now, before it got absolutely shredded by Hispaniola, I mean shredded. It went through some of the highest terrain. The low-level circulation got totally ripped apart. And up until now, it's been pretty much just hardly nothing all day, like I said. But it's starting to come back alive on the northern farthest eastern tip of Cuba. So it's going to be interesting to see what this thing does overnight. It's still forecast to become a tropical storm, but we're going to watch this. We're also going to talk about this. This is still 95L, Invest 95L. It almost looks like it's trying to get a closed low-level circulation right here. It's going to be extremely hard to see on this, but there's definitely some spinning going on right here that's kind of indicating that we might have a low-level circulation beginning to form here, and that is a sign of maybe that this thing can develop a little bit more as we get into the next 24 hours. It's also getting blasted by some easterly shear, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And some dry air is really wrapping around the storm almost on all sides except the southern end. So that's preventing this to really get going in what would normally be a favorable area for some pretty decently quick development. As far as the latest update on Tropical Depression Fred, it's still forecast to become a storm probably sometime maybe as early as tomorrow evening. And tropical storm watches are actually up for the Florida Keys and areas of the coastal areas of Southwest Florida. So if you're in that area, you're under a tropical storm watch. So definitely keep in mind of that. This thing is still forecast to become a tropical storm as it moves. Right now, the cone of uncertainty still kind of a good chunk of it is in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. This could really get back into a tropical storm. I think at best it's going to become a moderate. I think the high end of the storm now is a strong tropical storm. That is the absolute high end. I do not see Fred becoming a hurricane. In fact, there's still a chance that Fred might not even get its act together anymore. It looks like it's actually getting an act together like we just saw a little bit more this evening, but there's a chance that it still might not survive altogether just due to it getting absolutely shredded by the mountains of the Hispaniola there. But still forecast to be a tropical storm by the time you get into Sunday afternoon, kind of in the Big Bend, off the Big Bend coastal areas of Florida and still forecast to make landfall as a tropical storm sometime between Sunday afternoon and Monday afternoon, sometime in that time frame, between that time frame in the Florida Panhandle. This has a chance to bring a lot of rain to areas of the southeast, and we'll continue to watch that. But in the short term, rain as far as if you're in Miami, Key West, up to Tampa Bay. Depending on where this tracks, if it tracks a little bit further over the peninsula, there will be more rain on the eastern side of Florida. If it kind of tracks to the Gulf of Mexico, then more western areas of Florida is going to get more rain. But altogether, the entire state of Florida, except the far western areas of the Panhandle of Florida, have a chance to get several inches of rain from this. In fact, that'll probably be the biggest story regardless, unless we see something crazy happen in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. But I will mention that is an area you cannot trust at this time of the year. The sea surface temperatures are boiling, not literally, but it's very warm for ocean water temperatures, and they're very supportive for major hurricanes. So we got to watch out for that. This is the percent chances to see tropical storm force winds. It's not very high. The highest area, there's a little smidget area of, what is that, a 40 to 50% chance. It's out in the ocean, actually. But still along the western edges of the Florida coastline up to the Panhandle, there is still a 20 to 30% chance to see tropical storm force winds. So still got to watch out. This could get more of a higher risk highlight area here in the future. This could upgrade a little bit more. We'll have to see. This is the latest model guidance as far as the Hurricane Spaghetti models. It brings a bunch of different models together. We mentioned that a weaker storm was probably going to dwindle into the Gulf of Mexico, the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And then I think that's going to be the case. I feel like if it's going to be a stronger storm, it's going to track a little bit more east and maybe grind the western coast of Florida a little bit more, or just flat out intensify here in the next 24 hours or so and hit the south tip of Florida as a tropical storm. So there's still a couple scenarios here regardless. Model guidance has kind of dropped almost in half. Half of it's kind of saying, okay, this is still going to become a tropical storm again. Half of it's saying it's not. Earlier today, it was barely looking like a tropical wave. Now, we're also talking about this, too. There's a 70% chance of development as into a tropical depression or storm of this 95L out here. This could potentially be Grace down the road. And then actually, let me see if there's a new upgrade here and update this going here. No update quite yet. So we're watching this area for sure as it's right now. As the 2 p.m. update, it has a 70% chance to develop. This might upgrade a little bit here in a couple minutes as we're getting closer to 8 p.m. If it does, then disregard the 70% chance. But so we're trying to figure out what this is going to do, because actually in the location it's at, there's some decently favorable conditions, but it's getting blasted by easterly shear. And check out all this dry air around this system. Basically all the brownish tint colors, the yellowishes, whatever color you want to call this out here, orange, that's all dry air. Kind of surrounded almost all sides of the storm except the southern end. That's basically Saharan dust in a nutshell. It's also getting blasted by easterly shear. And we'll see that here on the last panel right here. This is basically where our system is, right in here, and it's see the lines pointing this way. That's basically saying this is shear coming out the east. So it's hitting the storm pretty good right now, but it's going to forecast to relax a little bit in time as it gets closer to the northern areas of the Lesser Antilles. And I think right here it has a chance to develop. We're going to have to watch that. But I also think something not working completely in this invest favor, if you will, is sea surface temperatures. It's kind of in this area right here. Yes, it's warm enough, but it's definitely not as warm as the Caribbean. It's in more of the low 80s range as far as the sea surface temperatures in Fahrenheit. So it's not very, very supportive of intense tropical development. So I don't think that's really in its favor. As far as the tracks, here you go. A lot of them right now have it taken a more of a northerly path than Fred did in this area, but we'll continue to watch because this could change. Either way, there's a ridge of high pressure up here that's going to keep this energy south. I don't see this thing recurving. If anything, it's going to be an influx of tropical moisture that still gets into the Caribbean or Western Atlantic. But this is the intensity guidance here. A lot of models have it reaching tropical storm. If it hits tropical storm, the next name is Grace. So that's the next name we're dealing with. So we're going to run through the models right now and see what they look like. And now right here is the blob of what is left of Fred, right in here. you're going to see another wave come through here. So we're going to run through here. The other wave is 95L. So as we're getting going forward, notice this big blob coming over here on your screen right here. That is 95L. This is what's left of Fred, maybe potentially Tropical Storm Fred. This is getting into Saturday afternoon. This is starting to interact with South Florida according to the GFS. And now you have potentially a Tropical Storm Grace right here in the northern and lesser Antilles. At the same time, as you get into Sunday afternoon, you're getting a huge influx of moisture surging into Florida and even into Georgia, and what will be a wet early start to the week. At the same time, you have a stalled out boundary, frontal boundary right up here. So this is going to cause a lot of rain. I know I don't really show it much, but it's going to cause several inches of rain to fall in the early part of next week, I think, for the Southeast in general, especially Georgia, Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. We'll watch that and up to Virginia. At the same time, you're watching this area right here that could be Grace. It's getting jumbled up in the Caribbean islands, but check it out as in time. The piece of energy kind of gets stalled out right here, but I tell you what, the GFS and even the European has been showing some funky stuff, but especially the GFS. It kind of takes the piece of energy, stalls it out, and barely moves it there for several days. Gets it on out here, way out in the Atlantic off the coast of the Southeast, turns it into a hurricane and moves it on out. And it looks like you got a front that moves through and pushes it on out. But look how far out that is. It's over 10 days. So it's really weird scenario. You look at the European. This is our moisture from what's left of Fred, which could be Depression Fred or Tropical Storm Fred. This is what could be Grace coming up here. And as we're going through in time, as you were getting into Sunday morning, maybe a very weak tropical storm trying to make a landfall overnight Sunday into Monday, into the Big Bend of Florida, maybe, or the eastern areas of the Panhandle of Florida. At the same time, you have the moisture from what could be Grace, 95L, moving through the Bahamas, a little bit more of a further north track than what Fred did. This moves through, throws some moisture, but the Euro really doesn't do anything with 95L. But the Euro does start sending a ton of tropical waves off the North African coastline, and we have to watch every single one of those as we're getting into the latter part of the month, which is always supposed to have been a favorable time of the month. You look at the GEFS ensembles, you look at this range right here, notice they've shifted west, and I think it's because all signs are pointing to a weaker system with Fred. And then you have this bundled up area right here that could potentially be Grace, temporarily at least. Bunch of signals throwing this into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. You still have to watch out for intensification. All models could adjust to this all of a sudden here in the next 2 days. Crazy things can happen in the Gulf of Mexico, really. You have to watch that. There isn't much support for Grace behind it. It's very spread out. But it does show activity coming off the northern areas of Africa. So we have to watch that. You look at the latest European ensembles, and they're definitely not as crazy as they were, say, the last few days. But they're still active, and it takes the energy from what could be Grace and future Grace. I keep calling it Grace like it's became Grace. It might not ever be, but 95L. But this is the signal from 95L as it gets closer to the southeast. There's not a lot of them, but a couple of them that are there as far as the ensemble runs are very strong. So we need to watch out for that. But, you take a look at the latest HWRF model with Fred. I'll show this really quick. And it takes it, and it's getting into, this is getting into tomorrow morning. It's trying to get its act together, but it's very sloppy. It's everywhere. In fact, you barely can tell what the storm is. And it's getting into Saturday morning, and there's barely even basically a low-level circulation anywhere with the latest. But the last frame here, which I don't have the whole latest update, does get this energy finally way early Sunday morning off the southwestern tip of Florida, and finally gets this energy into the Gulf of Mexico. And we'll have to see what that can do then. You look at, let's see, let's flip the panel here. If we look at 95L here, and we'll see if we have some updated information, and we do. We have this a little bit fast forwarded too much. It doesn't really have 95L developing much here in the next couple days into the weekend. In fact, it doesn't really have it developing at all. So The latest HWRF model, which is known to flip-flop big time from each run, doesn't really develop 95L at all. So it might not. But it's a nice looking tropical wave out there regardless. Between the next couple of days into early next week, the southeast has a chance to get a lot of rain from a stalled out frontal boundary and what could be rainfall from potential Fred. So this is the latest European ensembles. Has a lot of rain between now and next Friday. Potential for this is right here is showing about 3 to 4 to 5 inches of rain. So it's a lot of rain potential in this area, so we have to watch it. So that's all I got, guys. We'll continue to monitor this. Nothing too crazy as far as updates today, really, honestly. We didn't see anything huge. We didn't really see anything that surprised anybody, is what I'm trying to say. We expected Fred to fall apart. So that's all I got. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll get y'all another update here on tomorrow. Y'all have a blessed night.